Hello and welcome to Series 2, Episode 3 of Just Feed Chat with me, Ben Corbett. We're back with another 2 interviews and a cook-along. Coming up later, we have Little Green Bird, Jennifer Mark, talking about vegan fashion, the cook-along with the amazing Sara Kiyo Popowa. But first of all, I'd like to invite into the virtual studio to talk about living vegan without breaking the bank or the planet, Reduction Radar, Laura Gaga.
Hey!
Hey Laura, how you doing?
Really well. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks for taking the time to come and chat to us today.
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited to be here.
So for anyone that doesn't know you, could you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Laura, also known as Reduction Radar, and I do my food shopping from the reduced crate. So fondly named yellow stickers. All the food that you reduce because it's on its best before or use by date is what I make up my food shop with. And I then supplement that with any foods that I collect for free. So that might be foods that friends and family don't want, foods that I've collected using a food sharing app, the odd bit of urban foraging. And I document this on Instagram and I promote being able to eat well for less, make use of what you've got, and reduce food waste.
That sounds amazing. And I definitely want to get into a bit more detail on some of those methods because I think a lot of our viewers will find that really handy and will welcome some sort of hints and tips about reducing their own food waste. But, you know, obviously we're just VChat, so there's going to be an element of a sort of vegan, vegetarian, plant-based when someone comes to talk to us. So an element of your work seems to revolve a little bit about breaking down misconceptions about veganism. What's the biggest one that you think you'd like to dispel with your work?
I guess that a vegan diet is expensive. You know, I hear that quite a lot. And sure, I mean, it can be expensive if you're going to be buying branded foods that are highly processed. But, you know, the same is going to be said for any diet. You know, like well-known ice cream cartons were expensive with or without dairy milk in them. But actually, there's so much that you can get, even if you're not shopping in reduced crates. Things like beans, lentils, you know, actually they're really cheap and you can make so much with them. Stews, curries, pies, sausages, burgers. And there's actually so much of the food that we waste that is vegan, you know. So the most wasted foods in the UK are things like bread, potato, dry pasta, rice, apples. Actually, the food that we already prepare in our household, that's sort of one of the top foods that are wasted. So there's so much that we waste that you can really just utilize what you have, and there's no need for a vegan diet to be expensive. I mean, I shopped in this way as an omnivore, pescatarian, vegetarian, and now being vegan almost 3 years. And I've still been able to collect vegan food that's reduced in a supermarket and that's going for free.
So what's your go-to thing? So if we're saying like potatoes and bread are probably the most wasted things in the UK, if you've got some potatoes or some bread knocking around at home, which I'm sure a lot of our viewers have, what would the first thing be, what would come to mind first?
Well, actually, funny enough, you must have to give because I do have potatoes around and I have started making a potato salad to take to a friend's this evening because we're going to eat in, and we were sort of thinking, well, what can we do? I've got these potatoes, I've got vegan mayo. My mum gave me a jar of beetroot in vinegar because, you know, she simply decided she doesn't like them, so I'm going to put those in a potato salad. I've got some rosemary that's in the freezer, I'm going to add that in. And I guess it's just utilizing what you have. You know, I think ordinarily we tend to cook in a way where we think, right, I'm going to make a potato salad, I'll go and I'll get lemon and garlic and chives, you know, so you go looking for a prescribed list, whereas sometimes you almost need to do it the other way around where, okay, well, what have I got? Well, this is what I've got beetroot, I've got rosemary, why not use that? And you know, an experiment. And I think that's the wonderful thing about making use of what you come across, is that it really leads you to experimenting with different foods and recipes.
Have you found yourself discovering something that you never thought would go together, or something that you didn't expect that ended up being something you really loved?
I mean, I suppose it's just been such a journey for me, because growing up, I was someone that was always a real can't cook, won't cook. I was an extremely fussy eater. So, I mean, just this way of cooking in itself has been really eye-opening. And actually buying stuff reduced, I started trying foods that I'd never tried before. Even something as simple as radishes. I'd never had radishes, but then suddenly you see a bag for 10p and I think, all right, well, I'll give those a go. So, I mean, there's so much that you can do. I'm trying to think what I've done recently. I mean, I made black bean brownies. So I made brownies using black beans. I had those. I used that instead of flour. I mean, I think there's so much once you start to look into things, and even things like, say, a dairy-free pesto. You know, pine nuts can be quite expensive. Well, why not try using peanuts? You know, they tend to be a cheaper nut, and there's so much that you can substitute or just alternate.
Okay, cool. I think you've sort of hinted at this a little bit already, but what came first for you? I was going to ask whether it was veganism or food sustainability, and how was incorporating one into the other?
I mean, it was probably food sustainability, although if I'm honest, actually, when I started shopping in this way, the main driver was how much money there was to save. You know, that
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
the main thing for me. And then as time went on and you see firsthand how much food stood to be binned, I became far more concerned with food waste. I think almost what happened as well is that I became more curious about a vegan diet because I was just using the foods that I was getting for free or reduced. You know, if I didn't see meat reduced, I wouldn't buy it. So it
Hmm.
just you know, unconsciously really led to me cooking a more plant-based diet and becoming more curious about that. And so I guess the veganism came later, although now I'm sort of, as time is going on, I think a vegan diet actually is probably far more, my opinion is it's far more sustainable for the environment. I just don't see that animal agriculture is sustainable, and even the sort of crops that are used to feed livestock. You know, we could take a quarter of the food that is wasted between the US, UK, and Europe, and I think the number is something like it would feed 1 million of the hungry
Mm.
worldwide. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
so I don't know. So I suppose it feels uncomfortable for me that we're going to be using food to maintain livestock to then produce food for ourselves, where we could actually just use those.
Mm. Yeah, that's really interesting, really interesting. And I guess like one of the other things that sort of maybe stops people from sort of shopping in a more sustainable way is a lot of people don't really understand the difference between sort of a best before and a use by sticker and stuff like that.
Completely. And I get that so often. So many people messaging me on Instagram saying, you know, this is past its best before date. Do you think it'll be okay? You know, and so often finding that actually a best before date, it doesn't relate to food safety. It's relating to food quality. It's not a legal requirement. So, you know, all they're essentially saying is this is when it's going to be at its best. But actually, a use by date is related to food safety. So they're sort of saying, well, you know, past this date, it might not be safe to eat. But again, there's ways of extending a food's lifeline, you know, such as freezing, cooking in bulk, and then freezing whatever you cook. But yeah, I think it's important that people get to know the difference, because even things like, you'll see best before dates on tins of food. You know, the tinning of food has been designed to preserve food and for it to
Mm.
last for years, actually, you know. So I don't know that we necessarily need a best before date. And, you know, and often if you have something like at the moment, I've got a jar of beetroot in my fridge, you know, the jar will have risen if there's anything wrong with the beetroot, you know. So food packaging will have a way of letting us know sometimes, you know, that we don't need to rely on a best before date for.
I love the idea that your Instagram is mostly just direct messages from people with pictures of their food saying, "Is this still okay to eat?" is that is that what you're having to deal with almost all day, every day?
Yeah, what do you eat, dude? But I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I should be your measure, because I know what I eat. Oh.
Okay, cool. I mean, the other thing I was going to ask you about, which I know that is something that you're writing about. So what's the no food shop challenge?
Okay, so I mean, I did a no food shop challenge a while ago for 1 week, and I wrote about that for Vegan Review. And I mean, again, I guess to sort of dispel this myth that a vegan diet needs to be expensive. My most recent food no food shop that I'm on is that started because I came back off holiday the 1st of September. The following day, I went and picked up loads of food from this woman via Olio, the food sharing app, and
Hmm.
she house. So she didn't want to take all this unopened food in transit. So I came home with like 3 bags full of food. So a range of beans, lentils, also, so much that actually I said to myself, do you know what? I cannot justify shopping when I've got
Okay.
this much food. So then I sort of thought, well, do you know what? Why don't we see how long I can actually go for without shopping? And today I'm on day 45.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Tell us a little bit more about Olio, because that's obviously something that I'm sure lots of people might not know about, and something everyone can use, right?
Yeah, completely. It's a fantastic app. So it's a food sharing app. So essentially, if you've got any food that you want to get rid of for whatever reason, and again, actually, you saying about best before dates, it can be past the best before date, just not past the use by date. You can list it on the app, and it might be, you're moving house, you're going on holiday, you've changed your diet, you tried something you didn't like it, whatever the reason being, you put it on the app, and then nearby users can request it and come and collect the food. And also, Olio have gone into partnership with Tesco's, and you'll
Okay.
see other eateries using the app via Food Waste Heroes. So you'll have a volunteer who volunteers as a food waste hero. They will go and collect whatever is surplus, say from Tesco's, and they will list it on the app. And it's just been fantastic, and especially during these times because you can do no contact collection. So it's been brilliant, actually. Like, I've loved it
Okay.
during.
And would you say that's your like absolute top tip for doing a no food shop challenge, or is there something that what's the real key thing?
I mean, Olio is great. I love Olio. I think the key thing is actually making use of what you've already got at home, and I think that's what's actually gone on for me the last 6 weeks or so is, I've utilised things that I wouldn't ordinarily. So while I've been doing the no food shop, I have made my own pastry for pie. I've made dairy-free shortbread biscuits. I've made brownies, cake. I made peanut butter yesterday using peanuts, obviously. But I mean, if I was food shopping, I don't know if I would have had the incentive to do that, because I probably would have,
Mm.
oh, making pastry feels a little bit overwhelming, and can I be bothered?
Hmm.
But suddenly when I don't have access to go into the shop and just getting these things, then I think, right, okay, if I want a snack, I'm gonna have to make that snack. So actually
Okay.
been a really great driver. So I think that is my biggest tip, is starting with what you have at home. I mean, in the UK, we waste over £700 worth of food yearly, in each house.
Okay.
So I think actually starting from where you are at home, shop from your cupboards.
Okay, perfect, perfect. I've got a little message here that we've had come up on the Facebook comments from a good friend of ours, Copper Confetti, Sarah Pincus, who's done a couple of cook-alongs for us, and she's just let us know that in Scotland, yellow stickers are called whoopsies. So
Oh,
that's just a little tip for you if you're ever doing a talk to some people in Scotland and you want to refer to yellow sticker items,
well,
then
absolutely.
apparently whoopsies.
When I'm next in Scotland.
Perfect, perfect. So some really, really good information and practical help. So thank you so much for that. Where would people go online if they want to see a bit more of your work or to read stuff that you're writing?
So there's the food waste column in Vegan Life magazine. I also have my own blog on WordPress, but I guess the easiest place to find me is on Instagram at reduction_radar and the number one.
Amazing. Right. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to tell us a little bit about how to eat more sustainably, and stick around for the interview and the cook along, and we'll see you at the end.
Will do. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Okay, so thanks very much to Laura for that. We're going to go to our next guest now, which is Little Green Bird's Jennifer Mark, who's going to come and chat to us about eco fashion.
Hi,
Hey Jennifer, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So you were watching that. So being that you're from Scotland, can you confirm that yellow sticker items are called whoopsies?
Yes, do you know it's so funny because I'm going to talk about I started my kind of eco fashion journey when I was a student and I lived next to Asda and I used to live off the Whoops counter as well. So definitely that's what it's called in
Ah,
Scotland.
amazing, amazing. Well, we've learned something we weren't ever expecting to learn today. So thanks so much
Yeah.
to you and Sarah for that. Yeah, we should start off really. If people don't know you, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do online?
Yeah, so I'll just kind of tell you a little bit about my background as well. So I have a degree in fashion and textile design. And when I left uni, I worked for H&M very briefly and realised I did not want to work in the fashion industry at all. It wasn't for
Okay.
me. So I went back to uni and retrained to be a home economics teacher. So I teach fashion and I teach how to cook to children in school. I set up my Instagram account about coming up for 2 years ago now. And it's Little Green Birds. And what I try to do is I do a mix of my own recipes. I try to support local businesses as much as I can as well, showcasing all because Glasgow is amazing for vegan food. We're so lucky here.
Mm.
And also as well, I've tried to do as much eco fashion as well, just to try and show people that you don't have to buy new clothes. You know, Instagram, I love Instagram so much, but it's so bad for trying to encourage people to buy new outfits all the time and spend loads of money. And I'm just trying to kind of show people that you don't have to go out and spend loads of money on different things, and you can get loads of great things on eBay and charity shops.
I guess like one of the terms we start to hear more and more is fast fashion, which is
Yeah.
I guess is the equivalent of fast food, but with fashion. So that would be what disposable clothes, just buying something for one night out or something like that.
Yes, definitely. It's something that's such a big issue. I think much more for the younger generation as well. Like I see it a lot talking to the kids in school. You know, we've got brands like Boohoo and all these other places. You can get a dress for like £10, £15. That is not
Mm.
right. Obviously, there was so much controversy around Boohoo recently as well because it was found out they were using modern slavery in the UK. And, you know, it shouldn't cost £10 to buy a new dress. And, you know, the amount of waste in the UK. I think it's something like 350,000 tonnes of clothes go into landfill every year. There's
Mm.
obviously very kind of dubious supply chains for lots of different brands too. We don't know how they're being produced. And it's just something that I really want to try and encourage people to stop buying as many clothes because we don't need everything that we're buying.
Okay, cool. No, that sounds totally fair enough. I mean, I was going to ask you actually something. I asked Laura a similar sort of question because obviously she's talking about food sustainability and you're talking about clothing sustainability, and that's sort of linked into your vegan beliefs and your vegan lifestyle. So,
Yeah.
what came first and what came second, or did it sort of happen at the same time? And do you even see it as one thing or two completely different parts of your life?
I think I see them as kind of they're interlinked, but they are slightly different. I suppose I've been vegetarian since 1996, and then I went
Okay.
fully vegan a few years ago. But I was mostly vegan for many years before that as well. One of the things that I do believe in, which some people who are also vegan may not believe in, I would rather use things that I have rather than I do have secondhand leather, I do have secondhand wool, and I do have secondhand silk, and it's something which you know, I would rather have a secondhand leather bag than buying a brand new bag from a brand which has not been made sustainably and it won't last as long. So I haven't
Okay.
bought anything that's wool or leather since I've been vegan, but I do have lots of things that I am just using rather than buying new items. Um, you know, I just feel that we need to use what we have. We need to try and shop for our own wardrobe as well. You know, there's so many different places you can buy things from charity shops and online, but we need to try and look at what we have first of all and try and maybe buy better quality things and
Mm.
shop a little bit less rather than trying to follow like trends and then having lots of disposable fashion where it's just going into landfill.
Yeah, and I guess like when you spend a little bit more on something, then it's going to last longer, isn't it? And the idea is you see something and you immediately think, oh, that's so cheap, I'll get that. But in truth, you're actually going to make a better investment if you're paying for something, and chances are it's going to be more unique anyway. Like, one of the things about sort of fast fashion brands that I always think is, I mean, I wouldn't want to go out and see three other people wearing the identical item of clothing that I was
Yeah.
wearing. And I know that's not really a sustainability thing or even like a vegan or cruelty-free thing. That's just wanting to be a bit more unique, I guess. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know, I was going to say, like, when I went back to uni, it was when I was about 25, and that's when I was shopping on the Whoops counter, and I had no money at all. And obviously, I'm interested in fashion because that's what I studied when I was younger, and I didn't like going out on a night out and seeing people wearing the same outfits. So it was just a kind of natural kind of transition for me. So I started off buying on eBay. So I'm getting away with my age here, but this is about 2005. So that's when I started shopping on eBay, and I've never really looked back. The charity shops around me, I'm very, very lucky. There are amazing charity shops where I am. I've had designer items I've got for 99 pence in some of the shops around me. It doesn't happen very often, but it definitely was one of the reasons why I started. Was I didn't want to look the same as everyone else. I wanted to try and get better quality for less money. And then obviously that kind of linked into then when we started finding out more about fast fashion, because obviously, H&M's in the news quite a lot at the moment for kind of greenwashing. And of course I worked for them. This was in 2003, and we didn't really understand about where the clothes were being produced. And this is around about when Primark kind of started out as well. And I used to shop there too, and none of us really understood, I think, the full supply chain, what was really happening. So then that's kind of linked into when I've obviously gone vegan in the last few years. I've not bought anything leather for a long time, but as I say, I'm happy to have better quality items that I know last longer. But I would obviously now try and not buy second-hand leather or wool or anything like that nowadays.
Are there any specific sort of favorite brands that you usually look out for?
In terms of fashion, I try to go for brands that I think are going to be kind of better quality and last longer. Obviously, I was going to talk a little bit about beauty as well today, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I'm really, really interested in trying to support small businesses as much as possible too. So what I've been trying to do in the last few years is try and buy like soap and things like solid shampoo bars from small local businesses. Some of my favourite ones that I've been buying from is Nudge Boutique. I think they're based in Norfolk, and I bought amazing shampoo bars from her recently. They're beautiful, they smell amazing. And I also like Och Vegan Soap. She's based in Scotland and she makes amazing things. Little Fox Soapery is great too. She's on Instagram and she has an Etsy page. And Lucky Cloud, who I actually bought things from at the Just V show when I was in Glasgow that day that I met you. So she's great as well. So yeah, in terms of like brands, in terms of kind of beauty, I really try and support small businesses first. I also love Lush. They're great for having lots of vegan items. And then Superdrug for things like makeup. I think Superdrug are doing so well. When you go into the store, they have huge like signs saying what's vegan, and they're selling 3 brands because I'm all about money saving. Things that Laura was talking about that I absolutely love because I'm so similar to her. And I'm all about trying to save money too. And there's 3 brands that Superdrug have, and they are MUA, B Cosmetics, and Elf, and they're all 100% vegan now, and they're all really low price brands, and they're really good. I've got a lot of things from there.
That's really cool, and that's something I'm hearing sort of coming up again and again because I've interviewed a few people now that are talking about sort of beauty products and stuff, and obviously Lush is going to come up with everyone. Everyone loves Lush. I do. I shop there a lot. But Superdrug's come up a few times as well now, which isn't necessarily something that people would immediately think, because you would think of it as a sort of bigger brand, but they're clearly doing something. If I keep hearing it from people again and again.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a lot easier to buy kind of vegan skincare, as you can buy things from like kind of small businesses. But in terms of makeup, it's a little bit of a minefield, to be honest. There was a brand which I was using, I won't talk about, but I genuinely thought the mascara I had was vegan. And I've realised it has beeswax in it, because a lot of mascaras
Right.
do have beeswax. You have to be really careful. There's websites you can use as well. You can Google to find out like what ingredients actually are vegan, but there's a lot of kind of like misleading claims out there as well. So I think that's why Superdrug are doing so well, because they are being really transparent. They've got their signage up saying when things are vegan. As I say, that's 3 brands they have that they sell there, which are really low priced, and they're all fully vegan now, which is brilliant.
Okay, that's awesome. So have you found yourself that obviously we got locked down quite a lot for quite a long time, and you know, people seem to be shopping on the high street a little bit less. Moving back to the fashion, have you found yourself shopping online more, and does that bring sort of different challenges for you to what you were used to?
Do you know, when I was thinking about this question here, I haven't obviously shopped in the high street for such a long time. You know, I obviously shop in the local charity shops here, but I've been using eBay for so long. So there's Depop too, which is obviously really popular. I have not had as many things from Depop as I had from eBay. But one thing I'll say as well, that I've not really bought very much at all since I've been locked down, and you know, I really want us to try and shop our own wardrobe as well before we go out and buy new things. And one of the things I want to talk about as well is, you know, I use Pinterest so much. You know, I use Instagram for so many different things, but Pinterest is amazing for just putting together what you have already to try and shop your own wardrobe. So if I have an item that I haven't been worn for a while, I'll type in kind of a description to Pinterest. I'll bring up lots of kind of like outfit ideas as well, and trying to kind of restyle things. So again, if there's something that you're kind of missing from your wardrobe, you can maybe go on eBay and try and find something similar, just to kind of fill gaps in your wardrobe. But if you try and shop what you already have, first of all, and again, like obviously I teach sewing, so I can use a sewing machine quite easily. It's not so easy for everyone else, but you know, trying to learn a few skills, even just like hand sewing, if you get any holes in anything. Debobblers are amazing for taking off fluff from jumpers and from other different things as well. So they're really good to have. So I definitely, as I say, I haven't really shopped in the high street for a long time. I have been in our local charity shops, but there's quite a lot of queues and things here. And obviously not everyone can get to charity shops at the moment too, but definitely online is kind of everyone's been doing a lot more online shopping. But if you try and shop what you have first already, if that makes sense.
Brilliant. No, it totally makes sense. Well, thank you so much. There's loads of really, really cool advice there once again. And I think it's really cool that you're teaching as well, because I'm sort of imagining that you're creating like an army of eco-fashionistas coming out of your school, and they're spreading the word around Scotland and then the wider world, right?
I'm hoping to.
Cool. So where can people find more of what you do online, and follow what you're doing with your fashion stuff and your vegan stuff?
At the moment, I just have my Instagram account, so it's Little Green Birds. I have been posting like recipes there. I use my stories quite a lot. I'm in the stories there too. I also have a home account as well that I've been on quite a lot more, because I'm renovating a really old house at the moment. So I've got those 2 accounts there, but Little Green Birds where you find me for all my vegan ideas.
Awesome. Well, good luck with the house, and I will see you after the cook along to say bye. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. See you later.
Okay, so thanks to Jennifer for that. We're going to finish off with our cook along now, returning to the show, because we've had an interview with her. I really wanted her to come back and do a cook along, so she's recorded this especially for us. It's going to be a couple of recipes from her recipe book, Bento Power. Now we have Sara Kiyo Popowa.
Hello everyone, how are you all doing? My name is Sara Kiyo Popowa of She's So Delicious, and today I'm going to share a couple of recipes from my book Bento Power. Bento Power is a collection of recipes based upon Japanese lunchboxes, made a little bit more easier, simpler, plant-based, and I've also used influences from all my different cultural backgrounds, and I have also simplified a lot of traditional recipes. The recipes we're going to make today is 1 quick pickle and 1 soy toasted crunchy sesame topping. Quick pickles, it's something that you can make with pretty much any vegetables. It makes a really lovely little side dish. The quick pickle is a raw recipe and you can eat it straight away, but it tastes even better after you've been leaving it out overnight or at least for a few hours. The savory seed topping, it makes a really yummy snack, or you can use it as a sprinkle to sprinkle on top of your salads, any kind of foods that you're eating. We are going to make our quick pickle, which is going to be a little bit hot, zesty, and with a little bit of a sort of Southeast Asian flavor. That all seems to be in a sort of uniform size. Spring onions, I'm going to cut them on a diagonal. I like things hot sometimes, some red and some green, just for fun. Piece of ginger, cut it up in thin strips. I'm going to use a lime that I washed really carefully. I like making sure that this is quite a savory, fiery mixture. Tamari or soy sauce, and then just a little bit of extra salt. I'm going to add another bowl, and then I'm going to add something really heavy on top. It's ready to eat now. Tastes even better tomorrow, and it will last for at least 5 days in the fridge. Now for our crunchy, savory seed topping. So we've got sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, and buckwheat. Just be careful when you toast your seeds so you don't burn them. Just keep stirring and don't use too high of a heat. They burn really easy and their oils are quite delicate. When they start looking a little bit tanned and start to release a little bit of smoke and start smelling really, really fragrant, it's time to splash them in soy sauce. I'm going to add a little bit of water so that we make sure that we coat all of the seeds. Tip all the seeds to one side of the pan and then splash them. This just smells amazing. So stir until it's not fizzing anymore, so you can tell that they are dry. I would tip them onto a plate or something to cool. These are so delicious just to eat on their own. Scatter them on top of salads, on top of anything. Delicious. For more recipe ideas, inspiration, tips, come visit me over at She's So Delicious on Instagram.
That looked amazing. Just seeing that soy sauce sizzling in the pan just made me so hungry. Right, so that's all for this week. Thank you to Sarah so much for recording that for us. I'm just waiting to see if the Laura and Jennifer are going to pop back in to say hi. We like to do a little thing at the end where we all wave like we're on Sesame Street or something. So it's important we wait for you guys to come back in. What did you think of the cook along? It looked nice, right?
Oh, it looks like, yeah, but I have to admit, I was just finishing off my salad whilst that was going.
Well, there you go. Well, this gives me an opportunity to tell you that you can watch back anytime on the Facebook and YouTube channels if you missed the cook along. But yeah, thanks to you both so much for coming in and taking the time, and please come back and we'll chat in a few months and see how you're both getting on.
Brilliant.
Definitely.
Awesome. Our next episode, everyone, is on the 20th of November. So keep an eye on our channels to see how our next guests are going to be. But until then, stay safe, everyone. See you next month. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.